Hello and welcome to another edition of Last Bell Boxing. I'm joined by the usual guests. We've got Carl in the cap there, glamorous. And then we've got Andy down there, suffering from the heat. How we doing, gents?
Oh, boiling, mate.
Great. Yeah. And of course, myself, Ray. So we thought we'll kick off today talking about the big card coming up. The first card that we have back in the UK with fans, although it's a minimum one. We used to have a 9,000 or 10,000 in Newcastle. We've only got 1,000, but I'm sure the Joys will make some noise. Yes, it's a big one for Lewis Ritson against Jeremiah Ponce from Argentina. Carl, how do you see this fight going?
Well, I think it's a big night for Ritson. I think not only does he need to win, Ray, I think he needs to make a bit of a statement. He'll have the Geordie fans behind him. So he made a big statement all over social media about how he needs the fans in there with him. So I'm expecting to put a bit of a show on. I've looked, it's IBF eliminator, isn't it?
That's fight? Right, yeah.
So big opportunity for Ritson. I know I joke about Ritson, but I do quite like him. He's a bit of a throwback, isn't he? He likes a bit of a trade. I just think Eddie Hearn might have pushed him through the ranks a little bit quickly, Ray. And
you think so?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've thought that for a while. So I think Ritson will win this one. I think he'll win it, and I think he'll stop this kid.
What makes you think? Ritson kind of flew through the ranks at a quicker pace than you would have liked?
Because I still think he's learning on the job a little bit, and he still makes. I look at his footwork, Ray, and I just think I think Eddie Hearn might have saw that. I know he likes a pound note, so I think he saw this Geordie superstar who's got a big following. And I think he just pushed him a bit too quickly. And ultimately, he got found out a little bit, didn't he? So I just think he may have pushed him through the ranks a little. I would like to see him have a few more learning fights with some experienced fighters where he could have learned a bit more. But having said that, he's obviously a talent. I think he stops this kid in round 8. I've not seen much of this kid, but I think Ritson have the bit between his teeth. Obviously, there's only 1,000 fans, but you know what the George is like for getting behind the phone.
Yeah.
So it'll be a red hot atmosphere. Looking at his record, this kid's not much of a puncher, is he? So,
well, he's got 27 wins, 17 by stoppage. That's more stoppages than what Ritson has, and people call Ritson a bit of a puncher.
Yeah, well, my view is he's not much of a puncher. I've seen the little clips that I've seen on YouTube as well. So I'm saying Ritson stops him in round 8.
Okay.
So that's my view.
And Andy, how do you break it down?
This might come as a bit of a shock to you, but I disagree with Carl.
Oh, never.
Wonders will never cease. So I disagree with Carl in the aspect that he wasn't pushed too quickly because he was destroying everybody in front of him. He went through the British scene like it wasn't even there.
Like a knife through butter, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you can't blame Eddie Hearn for getting excited about that because there was some decent fighters in there and he just took them apart.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is he ended up coming up against somebody that could take his shots. And the game plan B wasn't really there.
So Andre, just to jump in, would more learning fights not have gained him a plan B?
Well, no, because who else should put him in against when he's beat everyone in Britain?
But there is learning fights out there, isn't there? I think he got exposed for being at that level too quickly.
No, he was at that level. He just didn't know what to do as a second plan. The problem is when he's walking through everybody at British level. What do you do? Do you keep on putting him in fights against British level and he keeps beating them easy?
Because then people will be saying, why are you not pushing him on?
Exactly, yeah. And Ritson's camp and Ritson himself will be saying, "Why are you not pushing me on?
Yeah.
I'm beating these guys easy." What that's done, what that loss has done, is it's woke him up, and he'll be proper switched on Saturday night. For me, he'll do a number on this lad. Not only because it's a Newcastle card, not only because the fans are in, but this is quite historic in the sense that this is Matchroom's last card with Sky.
Yeah.
All eyes are going to be on this because they're going to be wondering, is Sky going to put anything out on the night? Are they going to say anything about what's coming next for them? Are they going to be introducing anybody? It's a big night all around. So the one thing I'm not sure about is his haircut.
Well, he's obviously took a leaf out of your book. He's kind of gone for the
a bit more, and I'll be lookalike, won't I?
Yeah. He's kind of going for the half you, half car with a beard.
No. Yeah. But all joking aside, I've always liked Ritson. I think he's great, and I think he's better than he showed on that night when he lost. Anything could have happened. He could have had issues in camp. Things could have gone off. You're not going to find out. You're never going to find out. But he'll have learned a lot from that night, and I can't see him making the same mistakes again.
Do you think because obviously the Vasquez fight kind of he's admitting now that he got a gift, and he's changed camp a bit. Do you see him kind of like a bit like Carl says, just absolutely wanting to make a statement here?
I can, but I can also see he ain't going to fall into the same trap of going at it.
Yeah.
At round in, round out, throwing everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
I can see what I mean by he's learned from that last fight is I think he'll take his time a little bit more, pick his shots. Still fight the same style because that's his style.
And he won't change, yeah.
But maybe pick his shots a little bit more. And not blow himself out, and not, for me, mate, he wins. I think he'll stop him as well, like Carl said. So I agree with Carl there. I think you'll see, although he's not going to change his style completely, you will see him being a little bit more patient.
The only point I would like to make, Ray, before you jump in, is you say he'll learn a lot by losing that fight. So again, it brings me back to the question: why wouldn't you throw him in with some more handpicked opponents to get him that learning, to get him prepared for that title fight?
Well, we'll name a few then. If you think there was people he could have gone on with, name a few, because
I'm not a matchmaker, but there must have been people out there.
Eddie Hearn put him in with everybody he could have.
He could have gone and found someone who can replicate Vasquez's style. Come on, don't be naive.
Robbie Davis Jr. Robbie Davis Jr. throughout his career has proved he could box. The problem with Robbie Davis Jr. is he thought he could just out-muscle and out-hustle Ritson. He got drawn into Ritson's fight. The whole, me and Dave were saying, Ritson's going to get annihilated here because Robbie Davis Jr. is just going to go missing in that ring. What I mean by that is he's just going to go on the back foot.
Yeah.
And he stood in the center of the ring, and from the first bell, Ritson was rocking his boots, and he looked at Ritson thinking, "You're a lightweight moving up. I'm a welterweight struggling in this division."
I mean, boxing's all about opinions, yeah, and that's all I've given is my opinion. I think he would have benefited from a few more fights with a few more wily old not journeymen, but people who have been around, just to get him that ring craft. That's the only point that I'm making.
Yeah, but I think, and I can see the other argument where Ritson domestically he's probably proven that he's head and shoulders above the rest, so that's why they've accelerated him through. And they probably thought Vasquez was that fight. Vasquez had lost these last two prior to fighting Lewis Ritson. He didn't look that good, but he showed a different side.
Do you think he's overrated, Ray?
Lewis Ritson?
Yeah.
No, I think Lewis Ritson is. I think he is what he is. I think he's one of our best inside fighters.
Did he go to world level? Sorry to put it on you.
If it stayed at lightweight, I probably would have said yes, because I could see his physicality doing something there. At this level, he's probably going to be fortunate in the fact that the belts at 10 stone, like welterweight, could probably be breaking up because Josh Taylor could be moving up. But there's still a few serious kids there who can, you know, I still think Jack Catterall will be a big problem for Lewis Ritson because of his boxing style, the angles that he uses. He's a southpaw. He's very clever, Jack Catterall. Ritson hit hard at lightweight, but he's one of those where that extra £5, although it benefited him, I don't think he's a big puncher at like welterweight. And when you consider that you'll be the higher and better caliber of your opponent to take the shots better, and he's going to need that plan B. So those are the two things for me that's lacking. He doesn't move his head. He ain't got that plan B. And sorry, three things. And I don't think he'll have that power there to kind of walk people down. He'll always have his volume. He'll always be strong. He'll always be fit. But against the top kids, I mean, if you look at like the likes of Regis Prograis, I think he beats him. I think somebody like Hooker's a good fight. If he can drag Hooker down from welterweight down to light welter, I think that'd be a good fight for him. But you know, there's people like Tyrone McKenna and O'Hara Davies. He does a job on, but it's just that top level. There's a number of lads there. I just think he doesn't have the beating of those. Davies
has been quite vocal about Ritson today, hasn't he?
He has. He said a number of things saying, "Oh, Ritson's a good fighter, but you know, I would beat him. I would stop him." And then he said some quite nasty things about Robbie Davies Jr. But I think that they both beat him. I think that Ritson and Davies Jr. both beat O'Hara Davis.
He's also said that he wants to knock Ritson out to get one over on Eddie Hearn as well.
Yeah, but that's his own fault. I mean, I lived in Liverpool for 2 years. Liverpool's a city that's quite dear to my heart, and for him to come out and not that we're political on the show, but for him to come out and disrespect those Scousers that lost their lives at Hillsborough in the manner that he did, I would have had him banned from the sport.
Yeah, I genuinely mean that. When's O'Hara Davies ever going to learn to keep his mouth shut and let his boxing do the talking? He just don't know how to, does he? And he never backs it up for me.
Yeah. Ray, do you want to introduce David?
I will. I was just waiting until Andy finishes his point there.
Sorry, Andy, go on.
You're all right, coach. Fella. As soon as he steps up that level, he gets banned out, mate, because he's not good enough.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Dave, from Scotland, how you doing?
How are you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, sound.
Yeah, we're just having a little chat about Lewis Ritson. As you know, he's the main fight on the card on Saturday. Just wanting to get your thoughts on Lewis as a fighter and how do you see the fight going?
I was actually watching his debating there and my internet connection went. That's how I never jumped on.
All right.
I didn't realise until the other day. See, remember, was it Raymond, didn't it?
Yeah.
I was talking in the chat the other day there on the other channel. And remember I was saying that there was another mandatory coming up for Josh Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the IBF, and I think the other guy said, no, Catterall was the IBF. Then this is the one I was talking about.
Yeah, Catterall's
because this is the final eliminator for Josh Taylor's IBF. But anyway, going to his last, Lewis Ritson's last performance, as we all know, was a bit controversial. And I don't know, but I remember Lewis Ritson in his early days. He was knocking a few guys out. And Ponce as well. I know it's not a major title, but I think he's the IBO champion. Ponce at the moment. So I know it's not a major, but he's still a decent fighter. You know what I mean? The guy's solid, good South American fighter. But Ritson has always also got a reputation of fighting similar to the South American style.
Yeah.
The go hard get intake kind of thing. But I think it was just a bad day at the office, that controversial fight, to be fair. Because I really rate Lewis Ritson.
David, I'm Carl. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining, fella.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yes, is Ritson world level?
No, I don't think he would beat Josh Taylor. Anyway, I don't think. No, for that. I'm only judging for that last performance, so I don't know what's coming up the next week. But I still like the guy, you know what I mean. But it's easy to get mixed up in that likeable thing with the skill thing into it. It's like I don't think he's world level quite yet. No.
I mean, the thing is, David, if you look at the kids that are on there, you've got the likes of Barrios, who's fighting Tank. Yeah. You've got obviously Jack Catwell that I mentioned, Robert Easter Jr., Postol, Ramirez, Rigas Progre, obviously your boy Josh Taylor. You've got Baranchik as well. So you've got some really, really good names there. I think Ritson's probably at his best a level below that, which is no shame, but it's going to take something special for him to break through that top bracket.
You know what could end up happening though? I think Josh Taylor's got one fight left at that weight.
Yep.
And then he's going to move up. I think he'll take the Catterall fight, and then
Edinburgh Castle, isn't it?
Hey,
Edinburgh Castle. We're talking about David.
And let's have it right. Josh Taylor deserves that fight there.
Yeah.
As a Scot, Dave, you must be absolutely buzzing for what Josh Taylor's just achieved.
Oh,
well, he looks happy enough.
Yeah, 100%. As he was only four belt era champion, and as Ken Buchanan before that, done Scotland as well. It's just fantastic. As we were saying in the other chat the other day there as well, 18 fights, you know what I mean? It's It's crazy, man. But I also said as well that the level's not amazingly high in that division at the moment. So it would be nice to see him, as you said there, jump up, test himself. But I think I really think he's
doing, yeah.
I would recommend, if you've not seen it, watch the James English podcast with Josh Taylor. He was saying he just feels unbeatable at the moment. I mean, 18 fights. I'm very happy. Yeah. Very happy.
So I'm gonna put you right on the spot here, Dave, because that's what we do on this show. Best Scottish boxer ever?
Ever?
Yeah, ever.
Gary Cornish.
Gary Cornish.
No. There's that.
What do you mean, no?
Benny Lynch. He was some fighter.
Yeah.
Do you know his story as well, eh?
No, tell us.
Yeah, he ended up a raging alcoholic and all that stuff, but he was absolutely amazing. But I wouldn't. Him and Ken Buchanan. We go for Ken Buchanan now. See him.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ken Buchanan, Jim Watt. Yeah.
His book's a good read as well. The Tartan Legend, I think it's called. That's a good read. Recommend that if he's want to read that, man.
Yeah.
So okay, if Josh moves up and does the same at the next weight, you surely got to put him right up there.
Yeah.
No, 100%, yeah.
No, isn't it?
As I was saying, I keep saying this, but in the other chat there, Ricky Burns as well. He's Scotland's only 3-weight world champion as well.
Amazing.
But they're not put on the map. You know what I mean? But see, you get all these big fighters for like Belfast and stuff like Carl Frampton, your Conlon brothers, and your Paddy Barnes, who was a massive Olympic champion. They're all out there, but you get Ricky Barnes. I know he's out there, but he's no worldwide superstar. And as Josh Taylor never was even showed.
Is that not down to their individual personalities, though? It's not down to their personalities. They're very quiet and unassuming.
It could be, because I think that was brought up in the James English podcast, actually. They said about why he doesn't get let in people. He goes, if I do that, people will start to not like me for becoming different. So he just wants to stay the same as he's been from the start. Yeah. I know he gets in their face at the end, the build up to the fight, but he is a down-to-earth, quiet guy, you know what I mean?
I like that edginess about him.
Yeah.
He switches when it's fight week. I like that. he switches.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Turns into an animal, don't it?
Just going back on the card, lads. I just want to have a quick run through on the undercard. It's a strange one from Matchroom in terms of it's stacked with promising Northeast talent, although they haven't. You could probably look through it and kind of go home win on pretty much all the fights. But there's a number of fighters there that are jumping out for me. One, we've got Alan Babbage.
Yeah.
Obviously he's not from the Northeast, of course he's not, but he's starting to make a lot of noise because he's been very heavily promoted. And obviously,
let's have it right, Ray. Ray, let's have it right. They're looking at the Ergovich fight, aren't they?
Well, that could be one route that he can go down, because obviously Ergovich has got his eye on the break of the belts. But I mean, Andy, what are your thoughts on Alan Babbage? He is quite raw, isn't he? He seems to be one-dimensional.
Not big enough.
I don't know, mate. I'm struggling to see where he goes. He has raw aggression, and he has raw ability to a point, but that's only going to take him so far.
Yeah.
I think this smacks a little bit of Eddie Hearn getting a fighter in because it causes a bit of a stink, and he ain't afraid of getting in people's faces, and I don't see him going that far, if I'm honest. I think he's going to run into one of the better British fighters soon, and that'll be the end of it, and then he'll get dropped because he's not English. He's not a British talent in that sense, and Eddie Hearn won't mess about. What I would say about the rest of the card, Ray, I think it's very smart from Eddie Hearn. This, he knows that this is his last show on Sky, and he's putting on a load of young talent. The next
local talent,
the next local talent to come after Ritson. He's got. Let's talk a little bit about. Sorry, to jump away from Babbage, but he's got Cyrus Patson on for his debut, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's a friend of the show, as you're both well aware. So things like that for me, it's in the Northeast. They're all going to get heavily backed by the crowd because they're local. Very smart from Eddie in this, and what it does is it introduces them to Matchroom and to the public, and then it'll just get swiped from under Sky, and they'll be on DAZN, won't they?
But this card, Andy, is on DAZN. This card's being done on DAZN. So imagine how it's going to be received in America, in the Eagles arena, which is like a basketball arena, 1,000. Yeah. It's going to feel like there's 10,000 in there.
Oh, it's going to be raucous, mate. The place will echo like you won't believe. It'll be so noisy.
Yeah.
It'll be a great atmosphere, and it'll be a great atmosphere because this is what I was trying to say, because they're all local talent. The whole crowd are going to be Newcastle, not split like you would get on a normal Matchroom card.
Like a Liverpool one or Sheffield one. Yeah.
Little crowd in with them, and that kind of dulls the atmosphere down a little bit. This is going to be completely full of joy.
Yeah. Dave, just before, because I know you said you couldn't stay on too long, but
sorry, my internet connection went away again, man.
Because you're that far up north, mate. It's what happens. As soon as you go up the A1, it kind of you don't get the internet anymore. But what are your thoughts on the undercard? Obviously, there's quite a few good kids there. You've got Thomas Patrick Ward. I think he's ready for a world title shot.
I know. Talking about Ward, he's the only really one I can really comment on, to be fair, on the undercard. But I think it's his 30th fight or something like that, and he's been fighting technical journeymen his full career. To be fair, he's fought a lot of people with a lot of losses, wee bit more wins, and so there's one guy I remember when I was looking at his thing there a few weeks back.
Yeah.
He's 55 losses or something the guy had. But I know. Well, there's something come up my screen there. I don't know what it was.
Just ignore it. Just
I know everybody starts off as fighting journeymen to learn their pro trade and that,
but do you not think, though, Dave, it gets to a point where if you're, because Thomas Patrick Ward isn't a massive ticket seller, so the problem he's got is he's heavily reliant on getting on the back of people like Lewis Ritson, and then the other problem he's got is nobody wants to fight him. He's in that who needs him club that you'll often hear me talking about. Because
this is a big problem in boxing with a lot of fighters, isn't it? It's like guys should be a lot higher up the ladder, but a lot of people just don't want to fight them, and it's because they're not wanting to tarnish their careers. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to take a loss for a guy that's got a record like that, and it makes you look back. It's a catch, isn't it?
Yeah. But in terms of ability, though, I mean, you've seen him. Do you think he's ready now? Because if you remember, I mean, he's well known for doing a job on Jazza Dickens, although that was a few years ago.
It's dropped out again, right?
Yeah. All right, but Carl, just a quick thought. I know Andy's summed up his views on the undercard quite well. Just your input on it?
Yeah, the one I got an eye on is the ex-jam boxer, Solomon Dakras. I quite like him. You know, obviously he was out a couple of weeks ago. He's out again this week. I think he's just... I know Andy don't like boxers to have learning fights, but I think it's important for him to have learning fights. But I think he'll move. I think they'll move in quite quickly.
Answer the question, boy. When did I say that?
Andy, they probably want to throw him in for a European title tomorrow, but I think it's good matchmaking. But I think he's got promise. And then you got Ellie Scott, who I quite like to watch as well.
Ellie Scott is great.
Yeah, I think she's got a promising future.
I tell you what, you need to look out for April Hunter.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
she's relentless. I love her style. Even though I'm more of a fan of the boxing purists. I'm more of a science. I like me outside boxing, me jab, move, angles. She actually cuts off the ring.
She's my type of fighter, then, right?
Yeah. Because me and you have that debate where Hagler Leonard, I'm the Leonard, you're the Hagler. But Imran, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for joining us.
It's all good.
Yeah, we're just having obviously a rundown of the Ritson card.
Yeah,
we just had a big chat about Lewis Ritson and the undercard, and just having a chat about the promising prospects that are on there. We've just been chatting about April Hunter and Ellie Scotney. Well, firstly, though, what are your thoughts on Lewis Ritson? How do you see this fight panning out?
The guy that he's fighting is undefeated. He's 27-0, 17 knockouts. But I went down his resume, and there wasn't like any stellar names there at all, like any names that you heard of. So I don't know. I think it might be one of those guys where he's undefeated, but I don't know what level he's been fighting at. But sometimes guys like that can be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? I remember that guy Ismail Barosos, the guy that fought Crawler, and didn't he knock out Kevin Mitchell? He was undefeated, and he was like a big puncher, unknown. He hadn't really fought at any level, but he knocked out Mitchell. So sometimes guys like that are a bit dangerous. You just don't know what you're gonna expect. Plus, he's got 17 knockouts as well, so he can obviously bang a little bit. But like I said,
we've seen in the past that South America and Central America seem to be a bit of a breeding ground for punchers and and in the last year alone, we've seen quite a few shocks. People coming over from like Latin America, shall we say, and causing a few upsets. But do you think Ritson gets past him, though, Imran?
Yeah, he should do. Yeah, I favour him. He didn't look good in his last fight against Vasquez, did he?
No, he didn't.
I thought he lost.
He lost that one in May.
So, Vasquez is a good fighter. He's a former world champion. But Josh Taylor stopped him, didn't he, in his 12th fight?
Yeah.
So like I expected, you know, a more clinical performance, but obviously Taylor's at another level to Ritson, so I still expected a much better performance than what he gave in the last fight. So yeah, he needs to put in a good performance here, otherwise. I don't know where he'd stand in terms of, because I know Eddie Hearn's trying to push him on to world level, but I don't know. Like, could he beat a Prograis? Could he beat a Baranchik? Could he beat any of those guys? I don't.
I would agree. I just don't think he does. I think Ritson sits probably at level below them.
Yeah. So, I'd agree. I'd agree. I don't think he can beat any of the world level guys, any of the world class fighters in that division. No.
Have you got your eye on any of the fighters on the undercard?
I saw you post about was it Cyrus?
Yeah. He's friend of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, you said he's quite like I was going through his record. He's got 22 fights.
Well, he's this is his pro debut.
What? So no, there's another Cyrus, 27-year-old.
Are you sure that's not Thomas Patrick Ward?
No, he's got 22 fights, 15 wins and 8 losses. There's another Cyrus Ramon. I think.
No. I would have been on about Cyrus Pattinson, who's jumped on the show before. He's making his debut. He's a former GB boxer. ABA champion.
I've not seen much of him. I'm looking forward to watching him. To be honest, I've not seen much of the kid. To be honest.
Yeah, I saw a lot of him. He's from the local gym up here, Berkeley, who have produced champions after champions. We've had a lad called, you may have heard of the McCormick twins. One of them won gold at the Olympic qualifiers, and the other one won a bronze. So, and a lot of the GB boys are from Berkeley. Patterson for Scott Fitzgerald in the ABAs and beat him quite comfortably. If you watch that fight, it's available on YouTube. It's one of these things that anyone that knows me knows I try not to judge prospects until they've had about 10, maybe plus fights, because they just tend to be gimme fights, especially when they've got the big promoters. But he is one to look out for. I do think he's a. I'm not just biased, but I do think that people watching him realise he's a little bit special. He can do everything. He can punch. He can box. He can mix it up. He can break people down. He's an exciting fighter. Yeah. So I think that covers it for the Ritson card. But there's been a change of events at Sky, as we'll all know. They've signed a 4-year deal with Top Rank. And that's going to be starting with the Stevenson fight this weekend, which I think's a cracking fight to pick up. Stevenson's a gem of a fighter, somebody who I think can go on and do special things in the fourth. Imran, what are your views on Stevenson?
I think he's a special fighter. I think he's probably the best at that division. To be honest, I think he beats everybody. Yeah. I think he beats. I like to see him fight Valdez. What a fight that will be! Yeah, Valdez is coming off a great win against Bichelt. Unexpected win. A lot of people thought Bichelt would beat him. So yeah, I think Stevenson for me is he's like a special talent. I think you could see that from the amateur days. Like I think he's gonna go a long way. He trains with Terence Crawford. I think that camp, Bomac, and they got Herring in that camp as well. I just think that camp is really, really good. They know what they're doing. They suss out who they're fighting. They suss out their weaknesses. And I really like Stevenson. I think he's gonna dominate that division. I won't be surprised if he beats everybody and becomes undisputed, and then moves up. And like I said, I think he can do a lot of damage in the weight class above at 135. I think he can beat low. I think he could beat Garcia. He'll beat Garcia. I feel he could beat Haney. I think he could beat a lot. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a really, really good fighter. Very, very talented kid.
Carl?
Yeah, I don't often agree with him, but I'm going to have to on this occasion. I like the kid. You know, I agree. I'm not sure about undisputed, but Imran's hit the nail on the head. He's in a good, you know, got a good trainer. He's got a good gym mates. I like him. He's quite level-headed, isn't he? He's very calm in his approach. Doesn't get flustered.
Nice and relaxed.
Nice and relaxed. Nice and ranger. I think he cleans up. Don't move him too quick through the ranks. Unlike Andy, would probably have him fighting God knows who tomorrow.
Oh, poor Andy, you're never going to let that one lie, are you?
But yeah,
I stick by what I say though, Ray.
It's a good fight. He's a good fighter, isn't there? You know, he's a good fighter, and he's in a sexy division, both in that division and the one above, like Imran said. So very exciting times. I hope they bring him to the UK shores with the new deal for profile purposes. But let's wait and see.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, he's a talent, and a great way for Top Rank to start their little journey with Sky Sports. But I think we're going to find out, lads, that the only shows that you're going to see from Top Rank and Sky Sports are going to be the American shows. I don't see Top Rank doing a Saturday night English card. I think we're going to lose a lot of them, and Sky aren't going to have much on.
Do you not think that Sky will perhaps keep their... Because what they're doing is if they've got Top Rank, and their shows are going to be on, 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
They're still going to have that prime time slot.
They are. The problem is, Ray, Eddie Hearn's already alluded to the fact that Sky have been cutting budget year on year on year for boxing. He's been struggling to make shows. And there's no way Top Rank are giving this deal away for free. So Sky will have had to have given quite a substantial amount of their budget to show these Top Rank shows coming from the States.
But Andy, on the flip side of that, Sky would have wanted some kind of commitment from Top Rank as well, surely, regarding scheduling. Surely, or why would they even entertain it if it's 2, 3, 4 in the morning every time they broadcast?
Yeah.
Well, they're entertaining it because Sky like the pay-per-view platform, don't they?
Not for me. I think you'll find there's a clause in that contract somewhere where they've got to put X amount of, let's say, UK fight nights on.
So where's Top Rank getting the UK fighters from then?
Well, there's nothing stopping going out to sign boxers now, is it? Depending on what, I mean, we're making a lot of assumptions, Egg. We don't know. We don't know what to do.
That's the point.
But how do you know, lads, that Sky won't have? Because you may not need a massive budget for a lot of the UK promoters that we've got here. The likes of Steve Goodwin or Carl Greaves or Dennis Hobson. You know, you don't necessarily, or somebody like a Ricky Hatton. You don't necessarily need a big budget for these guys. So how do you not know that they could have Top Rank and then also work with a number of other different smaller promoters?
They will. I think that's what they will do, Ray. But I don't think they'll be putting the amount of shows on that Matchroom have put on for them.
Yeah.
Well, that's a given, isn't it? They're never going to put that many on.
Yeah.
But I bet there's a clause in there regarding the amount of fight nights in the UK. I'd bet my bottom dollar.
Imran, because obviously you have conversations with a lot of American folk and you've seen a lot of their cards, because us lads, we're not massive fans of some of the undercards in America. We seem to think that they're quite poor. So what are your thoughts on how Sky are going to go, what direction they're going to go moving forward?
This is all good signing with Top Rank. And the problem is, who did Top Rank really have? Lomachenko. They have Shakur, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Terence Crawford's going to leave. Who do they really have that's going to move the needle for Sky? I don't understand. Like, fair enough. If you're gonna go try to get an exclusive deal with someone, get it with PBC.
And they said Josh Taylor there. He could be a good example. For the British fans.
Taylor. Yes, I forgot about Taylor, but yeah, but what I mean is, who's going to really move the like? You're going to move even Taylor, for example. Just even Taylor, like he was on the pay-per-view and the pay-per-view didn't do too great. So yeah, it's good exposure for Taylor because he gets to fight on Sky, and obviously his name out there because we know his profile isn't great. You know, it shouldn't be. It should be a lot better than what, or it should. Reputation should be a lot, higher than what it is at the minute. But the thing is, who do really Top Rank have, or the promoters that you mentioned here, Ricky Hat and Dennis Hobson, that are going to move the needle? Like, no one's going to really. The viewership for Sky is going to be terrible. Like,
one name they have got is Tyson Fury.
Yeah, that's the only one really, and I don't know whether.
But Tyson Fury's tied up with BT. Remember?
BT, yeah. So he's not going to be able to.
Josh Taylor's going to be the flagship. Josh Taylor's going to be the flagship. He's the only big British name they've got.
Well, he's the only British name.
More because not the only, but they may go out and sign a few more, and they may attract some more British stars because of the Sky deal.
Mm-hmm. What's Josh Taylor's situation with Top Rank though?
I think he's had 3 fights with him, but he's signed a multi-fight deal, so that could be anything from 5+ fights. So he could have at a very minimum 2 more fights.
Yeah, is he going to want to stay with Top Rank though after the promotion and after the fact that the promotion wasn't great, was it, for this undisputed fight? And I don't think he's that happy with how he's been promoted. So is he going to stay with Top Rank once his deal's done? Terence Crawford's leaving. What fight is there going to be for him? If Terence Crawford decides he wants to fight Terence Crawford, right? Josh Taylor.
Yeah, so and don't forget Lopez wants to fight him as well. So Lopez might leave because Lopez doesn't like Bob Arum at the moment.
Lopez isn't happy with Bob Arum as well.
Yeah.
He's fighting on Triller. He's not fighting on ESPN.
Yeah.
So the chance that Lopez may leave as well. I don't know what his situation. Again, his contract. I don't know. He might have a longer term deal than what Crawford. I know Crawford's deal's expiring imminently. So Lopez. Again, all of these guys are unhappy. So when their contract runs out, are they going to extend with Top Rank? That thing. So the Lopez fight will be a great fight. But again, if Taylor's contract is Lopez's contract is coming to an end, I don't think he's going to sign with Top Rank. So then all of a sudden you're going to be guys on different platforms, and then it's just going to be difficult to make the fight. So again, I think signing with Top Rank, I don't know. I think Top Rank's a bit flaky right now. I don't know how long all of these fighters that we're saying, Taylor, Lopez, Fury, he's obviously got a big deal, but he's a heavyweight. So, he's bringing in a lot of money for ESPN. He draws numbers. He's got viewership. Taylor, Lopez, and the other Crawford, they don't really draw those numbers. So they're not gonna. I don't think Bob Arum really cares about Crawford. Look at the way he talks about him. He doesn't really care. Taylor, depends if he starts doing big numbers, then he may care. But in terms of the Sky, I just don't know. I just think Sky may die down unless they get PBC. I think if they sign an exclusive deal with PBC, which I don't know whether they'll be willing to spend the money. I don't really think people are going to be interested. I don't think Top Rank have the fighters that are going to move the needle here in the UK, to be honest with you.
Okay. Fair point.
The only other one I can think of who might have some appeal is Michael Conlon, but again, he hasn't got the profile at the minute. Well, he could be built.
He's another one that's tied up with on the BT side of things, isn't he? Because he's done a lot of
It'd be interesting to know what that looks like. Is it an exclusive deal? Is it not?
Yeah, I mean, just finishing up on that Conlon one. I mean, obviously he was on a BT show, not the last one. No, it wasn't. But he was on there because he was fighting that Romanian that stopped David Joyce. But to go on to your next point about the exclusive deal, my opinion is that, and this is what I've heard, is that it's not. They felt burnt by Eddie Hearn in the sense that when Adam Smith brokered the deal between Eddie Hearn and Sky, it was an exclusive one. Matchroom was going to be the sole promoter. What they're saying is they've learned from that now. They want to co-work. It's interesting that they're working with somebody now who left Matchroom. John, I can't pronounce his surname.
Yeah.
But this fella, he worked with Matchroom and he was quite prominent in their organisation. He's left there, gone for a similar position. That's the guy. You're about the same guy as me. So it's interesting they got him on board. Could they get somebody like could have pulled somebody like Richard Poxon who used to work at ITV, used to do a lot with Ricky Hatton. Could have bring somebody like him on board? Characters like that, big players in the game, got a lot of influence. So if Sky do some smart recruitment like that, they could end up, and don't forget, no one's mentioned them yet. Wasserman, Sauerlands, they could come into play, because they've got some money behind them. And this is the thing that Andy was saying, they haven't got the fighters yet, but if they've got the resources there, what's to say that, they can't go on Eddie Hearn started out with Darren Barker and Carl Froch, and then look at him, and Carl Brook, and look at him now. Yeah. So that brings us. Go on there, Imran.
Sky for me is still the best. I think it's still the best platform. Like in terms of like the way they promote. I think it's a great platform. I prefer
Sky. Sorry to cut you off there, Imran. Sky or Matchroom, because
the production.
A lot of the bits that you just said there is down to Eddie Hearn, surely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. What I mean is like the production that they got. I like them. I think just everything about Sky is really classy. Oh,
so are you on about in comparison to somebody like BT and their shows?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
$1 million. Now I don't know whether maybe Eddie Hearn has a massive impact in terms of obviously the card are stacked and they're really good. Whereas I can't really remember a good. Like, no disrespect to Frank Warren, I really can't remember a good Frank Warren card where it's stacked or whether...
We see this every week.
It's just, honestly, I can't remember his last great card. I seriously can't.
I think the last time he had a good card, and correct me if I'm wrong, in my opinion, was, when he had all the Olympians, when he had Billy Joe Saunders, Frankie Gavin, James DeGale. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about 2008, 2009, maybe even 2010.
Yeah, that's 8.
Yeah, I know. That's a decade away. So, but speaking of the likes of channels and promotions, obviously we've got a new player, Triller, because of a joke of a fight that happened very recently, which we're not going to talk about on this show.
You're still looking tired, Ray, from getting up.
I didn't watch it, mate. I didn't watch it.
Of course you didn't.
I
know you didn't. I've seen your post afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but anyway, that's by the by. But a fight which I think, in my opinion, has been slept on. It's been slept on, and this fight was moved to accommodate that bout, shall we say? And I'm talking about Teofimo Lopez against George Kambosos Jr.
Great fight,
which I think is a terrific fight. I think it could be fight of the year. And then, man, I've said that on your show. Andy, I'm going to come to you because I know you're a big fan of Lopez, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Kambosos Jr.
I think Lopez is in danger of overlooking Kambosos Jr. He's talking future fights, and he shouldn't be doing that. Mm-hmm. I know he's a very confident young man, and he should be because he's got great talent. But he needs to be a little bit careful. Having said that, he still comes through the fight for me. But I see this going the distance, Ray. Yeah. I think Kambosos causes a lot of trouble. He's gonna ask a lot of questions, and a lot of things will get answered. For people that are sitting on the fence, a lot of questions are going to get answered in this fight.
Carl, your views on this fight?
I think Kambosos Jr. is bang up for this fight. You can tell in the pressers, he's not intimidated one bit. I know some fighters put this front on in pressers, but I think he's legit. He shows very little, not little respect. He shows respect towards Lopez, but he's not overawed with it. I think he's banging this fight, I do. I think he's banging it. I think he might fall a bit short. But I agree with Andy, and that hurts me to say that. I think he's going to cause Lopez some trouble in this fight because I think he's got the art of a lion, this Kambosos kid. He sees it as his cup final. So, he's going to put it all on the line and he's going to leave it all in the ring. However, I think Lopez might just be that little bit too good. I think Kambosos is a very good fighter, but I think Lopez is an elite fighter, and there's a difference. So I'm going. I think this might late. I'm going late. What did you go under?
Points.
Say again.
Points.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards points myself, to be honest with you. So I know you don't happen often, but I'm going to go points as well.
You get steady, mate.
I'll let you win one with me and get something right for once.
It's those Pilsners. He's had a couple of them. Imran, I know you said a couple of points about Kambosos Jr. You've noticed his speed, but you've not been too sure and too confident about his power, have you?
No. I think he's a good fighter. I like Kambosos as well. I saw him against Lee Selby. I didn't really know a lot about him before the Selby fight. I saw him and I thought this guy is a really good fighter. He's really, really fast. He's been sparring with Manny Pacquiao, and he's been doing a lot of training with Manny Pacquiao. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's really good. I think the difference between the two, I think Kambosos has the quicker hands. But I think Lopez, I think the difference between the two, and probably the difference that I think the reason why I'm picking Lopez by late stoppage is because I think Lopez is explosive. And as you saw with the Comey fight, like that right hand is dangerous. Like he's explosive. He reminds me of like Stevenson, of Wilder. Like, he's explosive. He can just explode into and just wipe you out. He's done that quite a few times. So yeah, I don't think Kambosos has that. I don't think Kambosos has that kind of explosive power. Whereas I think Lopez does. And I think Lopez is quick also. Maybe not as fast a hands as Kambosos, but he's very quick also. He's got good movement. He's got a good boxing brain. And then with that X factor, with that explosive power, like I said, I think for me, I've seen like Stevenson, who that left hand was vicious, Wilder with the right hand. And I think Lopez has the similar kind of devastating shot where he can wipe you out. So I just think I'll go late stoppage, Lopez.
What round? Because we've got to pick a round on this show, Imran.
Oh, right, okay. I'd say round 9.
Round 9. Okay. For me, one thing that hasn't been mentioned from you guys is the obvious size difference here. I was watching a clip where Lopez was having a bit of a face-to-face with Conor Benn.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, Conor Benn is a welterweight. Okay. I don't know whether you've seen this, Andy. I know probably Carl has. But so he's standing next to Conor Benn. They're having a chat. They're being interviewed together. And Conor Benn's 2 weights above Lopez. Lopez is in camp, so he's losing weight because he's got a fight coming up. And he is still physically bigger than Conor Benn. So I'm looking at him and thinking, A, how big is he when he hasn't got a fight? And how big is he going to be on fight night and compared to Kambosos Jr.? Because how this guy makes lightweight is beyond me. He's a monster. And I think, yes, Kambosos Jr. is quicker. I've got to disagree with Imran here. I think Kambosos Jr. carries power. Imran knows that I've said that. I think he does. And I think he's one of those where sometimes where you've got to utilize a lot of speed. If the punches that you don't see can be the ones that hurt you. And Kambosos has that in his favor. You look at his knockouts, his opponents have just never seen it coming.
Yeah.
Lopez has everything else. He's got skill. He can stand and fight. He can outbox you. He can give you angles. He can break you down. He can push you back. He's got a decent enough jab. He can hit with either hand. He can do pretty much. For me, my one worry about Lopez is the weight. I've talked about his size, is the weight. And I thought, if anything, that would have been his undoing against Lomachenko, because he really struggled to do it against Richard Comey. But because that fight got delayed, it gave him more time to make that weight, if that makes sense.
Lomachenko was too small as well, mate.
Well, he's been too small for a lot of opponents, but he's found a way. I think that the Lomachenko fight was similar to the Salido fight. By the time Lomachenko figured Lopez out, it was probably too late.
Yeah.
Because with the Salido fight, he gave away a lot of rounds. You know, and I know Imran said, well, he may have been a bit wary of his power. I don't particularly think he was so much. I think he was probably trying to figure him out the same way he was against Salido. Because in the way I scored it, I gave a lot of the early rounds to Lopez. I gave some of the later rounds to Lomachenko. He started to come into that fight. I still had Lopez winning it, you know, by a couple. I think I had it 115, 113, Lopez, but Lomachenko was coming into it. And I think if they had a rematch, it may have been a different outcome. Lomachenko was a very clever fighter. But he doesn't. He's mentioning everybody's name, like what Carl's saying, but he ain't mentioning Lomachenko's name.
Because he knows next time it's a
different outcome, yeah.
You know, they say when you rob a bank once, you don't go and try it again if you're successful.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make Lomachenko a bad fighter overnight, does it?
No,
that's what everyone makes it out though. Everyone makes out like Lomachenko's not even in the top 10 pound for pound anymore. They throw him out like
that's a travesty. That's a disgrace.
He lost 7-5. He lost a very close fight against a good fighter, a guy that was way bigger than him. And all of a sudden, he becomes a hype job. Like, I don't really understand box. I don't really get it. I don't really get some boxing fans.
Yeah, I think Lomachenko's achievements speak for themselves. And he's high up there, in my opinion. If you take away Lopez, he is the best lightweight, hands down. I think I'll be more confident putting him, because styles make fights. If you put him against Kambosos Jr., I'm more confident Lomachenko doing a number on him than Lopez, and I'm a big Lopez fan. It's just about styles for me.
Ray, you know what? If what Andy and Carl are saying happens, it goes to points. I actually think the fight's going to be very close, and I won't be surprised if it's like a split decision or something. Because like I said, I do think Kambosos has the ability to outbox him, or win a lot of rounds against him
because of his speed.
Yeah, because of his speed. I think I saw him against Selby. And I know Selby might be a little faded, but if Lopez doesn't get Kambosos out of there, I think this is
going to be a problem later on, isn't he?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think.
And to be fair, I don't think Selby was that faded. I think he looked all right on at lightweight.
Yeah.
Because he looked a lot physically stronger. You know, he looked as though he could hold a shot.
Yeah.
He looked as though his legs were there.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an interesting fight. This one. I think Lopez will stop him. No. I think Lopez stops him round 10. I'm going to go for round 10. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting just before we go to the next topic on what happens for the winner, whether Lopez or whoever moves up or what, because there's some very interesting fights between, you know, super featherweight up to like welterweight. So it's great times. Great times. But I just thought I would touch upon last weekend's result for Daniel Dubois, just quickly, because it was his long-awaited comeback from his eye injury, and you know, he was again in against a Romanian. Andy, did you catch that? What were your thoughts on Dubois?
Yeah, no, I watched it, mate. I don't think we've learned any more about Daniel Dubois. You could see he was nervous coming into the fight. I think he'd got a few demons there. He said it himself after the fight, didn't he? The more interesting thing for me was, I mentioned this earlier to you, the more interesting thing for me is the difference of opinion from his coach to his promoter. So on one hand, you've got Frank Warren saying, I'm pushing him along. He's going to get a shot at the WBA regular. And if that fight comes along, he's taking it. He's nowhere near ready for that fight. But Frank Warren doesn't seem to have learned from the Joyce fight. Give this kid a chance. He's in heavyweight terms, he's very young. Heavyweights go on to 40 years old, and there's still some of them are still in the prime at 40 because of the way heavyweights fight. What is he, 23?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Hang him around at domestic level then? I can see parallels here somewhere.
No, hold on a minute. There's a big difference between him and Ritson, Cole. Ritson was blowing away everybody.
So was Dubois before he met Joyce.
Well, he didn't blow away Joyce, did he?
No, but Ritson
Joyce
didn't
ain't
blow away
domestic level.
Vasquez.
What?
Joyce ain't domestic level.
He's not a lot past that, I don't think.
What
He
think
is.
if you put Joyce in against
Let's see in his next fight then.
His next fight's against Tony Yoka for the European.
There we go. If he walks through him, then we can say he's above British level. Dubois there's a difference in that Dubois got a hell of a lot to learn. He's very raw, and he's gone to McGuigan, and McGuigan's staying in the after fight interview. He needs 6 months to a year just to work on him, just to get him to learn the things he wants him to learn. Well, you can't be doing that and then putting him in for a WBA regular title. Can't happen. You either give him the time to let his coach teach him, get him out of these old habits he's got and teach him what McGuigan thinks he can teach him, or you don't. Or you just let him carry on doing what he's doing and get beat at fringe world level again, which is what will happen because he's not ready for it.
I think before I come on the call, there's an interesting pattern I've seen with Daniel Dubois. If you look at some of his earlier fights, even those ones that he won, he still struggled with the most basic punch in the book, the jab. Yeah.
I mean, this kid he was in with at the weekend didn't throw a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We learned nothing. We learned nothing from that fight. He was overjoyed to get the win, obviously, because of what happened last time out. Yeah. But he needs to be getting in with. I know he's already beat Gorman, but he needs to be getting in with that type of fighter that's going to be a bit more durable. Let's test out what he's like down the stretch, going into later rounds.
Yeah.
Let's test what he's like when he takes a few jabs to the face, to the eye again.
Yeah. See how he responds, how resilient is he?
Like.
Yeah. Carl, your views on Dubois?
Well, what a pointless fight that was, to be honest with you. Because we don't even know if Daniel Dubois can take a shot, do we? We know he got his head jabbed off by Joyce. And I disagree, Andy. I think Joyce is above British level. I think he'll prove it. Daniel Dubois, I'm not sure where you're matchmaking, because you talk about getting him rounds in the bank. It's only going to be a certain caliber of opponent who are going to give him them rounds.
Yeah, but there's a lot of British heavyweights, mate, isn't there? We're going on about how we've got loads of British heavyweights at British level. Put him in with a few match fighters.
Who would you say then?
Fabio.
Yeah, Wardley. Yeah,
Fabio Wardley.
Yeah.
Decent.
It definitely needs to be someone who's going to put it on him.
What about Nick Webb?
Nick Webb. I think Nick Webb's a good fight.
What Nick Webb will do is he'll go at him, and then we'll see what Dubois got.
I think Frank Warren is very risk averse with Daniel Dubois.
That's the problem. This is my exact point, though, Carl.
But the trouble being is, I agree with the point. Once he gets a good shot on that eye, is he going to go in his shell?
This is what I'm saying. So he needs these hard, tough British level fights. The difference between him and Ritson is Ritson had them so-called heavy, hard British level fights and walked through them all.
I'm concerned for Daniel Dubois because I think as soon as he steps up, let's call it an active opponent. As soon as he gets an active opponent, he gets beat. He'll get beat. I just don't. I don't rate his boxing skills. He's just a puncher. You know, and he hasn't even got the skills to avoid shots. So that doesn't bode well, does it?
No, well, no. This is the problem. Ray's said it. You can't even negate a jab.
Yeah,
and we don't even know what his chin. We don't even know what his chin's like.
These are obviously things. These are obviously things that McGuigan wants to work on. But McGuigan's saying he needs six months to a year to work with him to learn and teach him this basic stuff that no one's taught him. Or if they have to,
I just don't think he's got it.
Imran, what your thoughts on Daniel Dubois? Where do you see his career going from now?
You know, I saw your guys. I saw like part of your show about Daniel Dubois last week, and I listened to Carl. I listened to you. I listened to what Andy had to say, and I was like, these guys are being very harsh on Daniel Dubois. I think Dubois, he's 22 years of age. He lost to a very, very experienced fighter in George Joyce, who's a Olympic silver medalist, and he's very, very experienced, very, very good fighter. And by the way, if you put George Joyce in with Dillian White, Kubrat Pulev, and you guys said that he beats Usyk, right? Who's fighting? He's all right. Yeah, he's fighting. I just want to ask Andy a question because he said that he's not much above British level. Andy, if what's his name? What were we talking? Joyce fights Pulev, fights Dillian White, and fights Usyk. Do you think he beats those guys?
He beats Pulev,
right?
Because Pulev's shot.
Yeah.
Does Dubois beat Pulev?
No. Okay, so who were the others, Imran? Sorry.
Dillian White
and
Usyk.
And Usyk.
Joe Joyce don't beat Dillian White.
Do you think he beats Usyk?
I think he does. I think he does.
I think he does.
I think the thing with Usyk is what Joe Joyce will do in that fight is use his attributes really well, which is his size and his strength
and his big jab.
That's to me. That's all down to whether Usyk's capable at any weight, and what he's shown so far is he's not big enough.
Yeah.
He's a great fighter, just not big enough. The reason I made the comments about Joe Joyce is, to me, he's not proven himself above British level yet. If he proves me wrong, I'll be the first person to come on here and say I was wrong.
Yeah, it's true. Actually,
what Joe Joyce does, he does really, really well. He's got probably the best jab in boxing, heavyweight boxing. But for me, he doesn't have a lot more than that. Very boxing. He's got a great engine and he's got a chin, and that will take him a long way because he can walk through a lot of people's shots and get his jab off. Now, his jab's not a normal jab, is it? It's a ramrod. It's
a backhand.
His backhand.
Yeah. He's got power, though.
He has, but when he's coming up against better level opponents, I don't think they're going to be there when he's throwing them because he doesn't hide his shots.
He telegraphs his punches.
Great feints in there with Joyce. Everything's kind of bulldozer, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
I think the thing is with Joyce, he looks a lot. He doesn't look great, and when you look at him from the outside, he don't look that great. But when you're actually in there with him, right, and he's putting that pressure on you, and he's on you all the time, I think he's a problem. Can you imagine, right, him fighting AJ, right? That constant pressure on him, and we know AJ's stamina. Right, if AJ hits him and can't get him out of there, and he continues to, I do agree though. I think he lacks power. If he had power, like
I don't think he lacks power.
I don't think he has that power. Even Dubois, he didn't really hurt him. He more jabbed him. He jabbed him, and his eye socket went.
Well, the thing is, Imran, sorry to cut you off. He didn't need him. He didn't need his right hand against Dubois. Maybe if he'd used his right hand, because if Dubois lasted a bit longer, he could have got him out of there because you softened him up. We softened him up with that jab.
The thing is, but Andy's right though. The level of opponents that he's beat, they're not I can see what he's saying, that he's not above British level, because the level of
his record.
What's his best win, Stavern? What's his best win?
All I'm saying is prove it.
Yeah. He might be, but he hasn't really Yeah, I agree. He hasn't really proven it against
Yeah.
He hasn't really proven it against even a European level guy, really, when you think about it. His best win's Stavern. And Stavern, he was about 60 years of age when he fought him. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So coming back
I
to
think you're
Dubois,
being harsh on him. I think you're being harsh on him because of his boxing style.
yeah, probably. But I think
It's
we
not
need to
great
see
to
it,
look
like
at.
Andy said. We need to see it against someone. He may even beat Joshua. He may beat he has a horrible style for Joshua. He has, honestly, that constant pressure, that size, constantly on Joshua. Like I said, I've seen Joshua's stamina give way. But does he have the power to hurt Joshua?
Well, he had the power to keep Dubois off.
Yeah, but like you just said, Dubois is not as good a boxer as someone like Anthony Joshua. I think Joshua's a lot better than Dubois is very limited at the minute. He's 22. By the way, coming back to Dubois, I think Dubois going with McGuigan's a great move because McGuigan, I mentioned this. I can't remember where I mentioned it in a video or something, but yeah, basically everyone that goes with McGuigan seems to go up. George Groves, right, was struggling, and McGuigan takes everybody that's in limbo. George Groves was in limbo, lost a lot of world title shots, managed to win a world title, right?
Fowler,
yeah. Fowler, but who else? There was other. He's Carl Frampton made him a start. Josh Taylor. Really, let's be honest. A lot of the good work was done under McGuigan, and Josh Taylor was another one that was like you'd say, a hidden kind of diamond. Nobody really knew about him, and with McGuigan, he made him a unified champion, right? McGuigan, for me, Lawrence Okoli, another one. The jury was out with Lawrence Okoli. A lot of the public were like, this guy is boring. He's not great to watch. And now all of a sudden, the public are starting to buy into Lawrence Okoli. I feel like everyone that goes with McGuigan goes on the up, doesn't go on the down. You know, and I think that is a brilliant move. And hasn't McGuigan got someone else as well now? Didn't he get another fighter? Didn't he, or was it Dubois left Tibbs and went to, I think it was Dubois. But yeah, he's got a good stable there. And like I said, I feel like he has a good track record of improving fighters. So I think that's a great move. I think Dubois will improve under him. I think he's too young right now. 22. He's got a long way to go. He's got a long way to take his time. The problem is, you know what the problem is with Dubois, why people give him criticism? It's because of the things that Frank Warren says. So like you just said, he's eliminator for the WBA. You know, it's like you're talking a lot of rubbish. Just like you're fighting all these. Like, let's be honest, Dubois fought nobody before he fought Josh.
Imran, why don't we give Hughie Fury the same slack then? Why don't we cut him the same slack? Because some boxing fans are very critical of Hughie Fury, and he's a young lad who's jumped in with a lot higher caliber fighters than Dubois has. Yet we write him off. Not us, but some boxing public.
You know what is with Hughie Fury? I agree. I think the thing is with Hughie Fury, he lacks same as Dubois really. He lacks a bit of charisma. Like, you know, he's kind of a fighter that can go under the radar. Nobody really talks about him because, he, like his cousin Tyson. I know Tyson's really obviously exceptional fighter, best heavyweight in the world in my opinion. But yeah, and he's got charisma. Like, he's there. I just don't think Hughie. Firstly, I don't think Hughie's as skillful, and I don't think his character as well. Like, look at
Daniel Dubois got no charisma.
But Dubois,
I think it's a fighting styles in, man. I think Daniel Dubois is explosive,
but not just that, he's been promoted better as well. He's been promoted. He's the poster boy.
You can see why I'm drawing the comparison, though, can't you, man?
Yeah.
Well, for me, when Andy was on and we were talking about fights, and one for me would be Fabio Wardley. I don't think Hughie would take the fight now, but I think Hughie Fury, Daniel Dubois would be a good fight. I was just thinking of that fight because
why are they talking about Hughie Fury, David Price?
Well, I think David Price shouldn't be anywhere near a boxing ring.
Sorry, lads.
Sorry, all right, pal. It's all right. I mean, for me, David Price should be gone. Same with
that's a dangerous fight, though. That's a dangerous fight. Hughie Fury's not a big puncher, and Price can punch.
He's not, but what people, and this is the thing, I hear it a lot on this show. I hear it a lot in amongst my mates, and I see it a lot when I'm going through these Facebook groups, particularly yours, Imran, talking about heavyweights and not punching. Let me tell you this straight, right? If you've got somebody who's about 17, 18, 19 stone and they hit you clean with 12-ounce gloves on, you're going to go. You ain't going to be standing there for long. So all this talk about is, okay, he might not be as heavy-handed as what Deontay Wilder is or an Anthony Joshua is, but Fury is a young man who's maturing when heavyweights mature very late on. So the way he's built, how do we not know he could develop his punching power later on?
And let's hope it right. He's gone to Bulgaria to fight Pulev. He's not ducked anybody. He's done it the hard way.
No, for me, I thought he beat Pulev. I thought he beat Fury.
With Dubois.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Comparing
what I said was,
Fury.
Yeah, what I said was, obviously people are willing to give Daniel Dubois time, but they're very quick to write off Fury.
Fury, right? He's been in some right fights.
That's what I mean. But obviously, some boxing public tend to write him off, and he's still a very young man. Okay,
so he's had 2 world title fights, is it?
Yep.
1, I think.
I thought
Parker. Just Parker.
Parker and
he's
had another one, I'm sure.
No, he has had another one.
He has.
I can't remember who it was against though.
He fought Pulev. He fought
Povetkin.
And that wasn't a world title.
It was a WBA international. Yeah, and then he's fought Joshua Parker for a world title.
So Joe Parker, I think Fury beat Parker.
Yeah, and I thought he beat Pulev as well.
He did. He got shafted both nights.
Yeah,
but everyone's saying he's no good. He can't step up. Other people have struggled against Parker, and no one says it about them.
Yeah.
You don't see him shooting off about Del Boy when he's in a close fight with Parker. Because of Fury's style, he fights on the back foot and he used his jab a lot in that fight. People are saying, "Oh, he's not good enough. He's got no power. He can't take a shot." The reason he don't carry the power that other people carry is because he fights the style he fights. But if you notice, the last couple of fights he's been in, he's sat down and his punches a lot more.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying. I mean, he's only 26 years old.
26, yeah.
Yeah, it'll come. And what the other thing is, I say to people, many know this, but he was a world amateur champion.
Yeah,
which is some feat. I mean, you've got the likes of Carl Froch got a bronze, David Hay got a bronze, Frankie Gavin, very famous, he got a gold. To medal in those championships is some feat. And I think
Fury is only 24, 25?
26. His best years are going to be ahead of him.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. And he's going to grow into it. He'll become a lot stronger as he gets older.
Yeah. That's what I see. He'll grow into it. And for me, I only see the Povetkin one was a loss. But I thought Povetkin all-manned him in that fight.
He did.
And there's no shame. Well, yeah, on the scorecards is a bit wider. But Reese has just made a comment there. Reese, Imran's a very good friend of the show. He's just put, for the experience he's had, his quality. And I think that's a fair point about Hughie Fury. You can't
buy that experience, can you?
No. And that's one of the things I like. I know we've already talked about promoters. That's one of the things I like about Mick Hennessy. Yeah, he gets his people proper fights. If you look at who he's...
Sorry, Ray. Go on,
if you look for people who he's built up, Darren Barker, Carl Froch, the big man, Tyson Fury. He's got these people into big learning fights early on, and obviously they were ready to go up to bigger and better things with Matchroom. He knows how to build fighters. He'll know how to look after Hughie Fury.
So just
and you were saying something.
on a slightly different topic, Ray, just for a minute to bring a bit of humour to the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So, Imran, are you watching TikTok versus YouTube on Saturday night?
TikTok versus
Don't
YouTube.
pretend you don't know what I'm talking about. The tournament that's going off Saturday night. Come on.
I don't know. I don't know.
Imran, just to give you a little hint here, mate. If you say yes, you're watching it, Cole's never going to let you back on the show again.
Let's not pretend that it's not on your spy planner.
What is it? I genuinely don't know.
Oh, come on, Imran. You disappoint me. I thought you was a
That's all you need to know, mate. It's shocking.
Yeah, don't bother him, man. You don't want to know what it's about.
Well, after your exploits on Sunday morning at 4 o'clock, you'd have been all over this one.
That's different. You got one of the greatest fighters of all time against one of the greatest YouTubers of all time. So it was a big event. But like TikTok v YouTube,
Come on, mate.
Who's that? What's that all about?
Lads, that tape I showed you last week, I'm going to need it in a minute.
Imran feels a clickbait coming. He's going to be all over that when he finishes this video.
You got to talk about Mayweather and Logan Paul. You've got to talk about it.
Hold on. Let me put in here.
I agree, but you've got to talk about the implications and what you made of Mayweather.
No, you don't, because that wasn't Mayweather. That was an old man earning a lot of money to put a show on.
Yeah, it was terrible.
From a business perspective, you've got to take your hat off to him, haven't you? From a business,
from a business, because he's a marvelous businessman.
We're talking about probably the best fighter of his generation.
Yeah,
undefeated against somebody that's had one fight and lost it against another YouTuber, and you're telling me you're going to talk about it? Come on.
So you're not watching.
I don't want to discuss it no more. I'm going off if you talk about it anymore.
Do you think it was bad for the sport, that fight?
Go on, Imran.
I've just said I'm not talking about it anymore.
It was horrific for the sport. That's my opinion.
What do you reckon, Imran? My reaction?
Hey?
No, it was horrific for the sport, and it doesn't bring more viewers. It doesn't. They don't retain the viewers within the sport. So let's move on.
Yeah.
So. Big was putting some bits and bobs in the sidebar.
Yeah. He's a big fan. He seems to be a fan of the whole YouTube TikTok thing.
He's just trying to wind me up. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah. So lads, any more fights to preview or even review?
Imran, anything from you, fella? Anything you're looking forward to coming?
Well, obviously Spence Pacquiao's coming. That's going to be obviously a great fight.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you're doing as many videos on that topic as you can on your channel, aren't you?
Like Pacquiao's one of my favorite fighters. You know, like somebody that I've
going then, Imran.
Hey,
how'd you see that fight going?
How do I see Pacquiao Spence going?
Yeah.
I think it's a great fight. It's a 60-40 fight in Spence's favor. I think for me, I think Spence at the minute has got the momentum. Great fighter, but I just can't write Pacquiao off. I can't write Pacquiao off. Like I thought Thurman would be a very tough fight, and he beat Thurman. Spence is obviously better than Thurman for me, and Spence is very, very good boxer, very complete fighter. But it just depends. What does Pacquiao have left? Is he going to get old overnight and Spence just going to walk through him, or is Pacquiao going to give him a lot of trouble and potentially nick a decision? I don't know. I think it's 60-40 for Spence. I just can't. I don't know what Pacquiao's going to turn up. What do you guys think?
Right.
I'm going for Spence. I think Spence. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my original prediction. I think he'll stop him very late on. I think Pacquiao will start fast, but I think as the fight wears on, Spence will get the measure of him. Spence will walk him down, eventually start breaking him down. He'll not be able to cope with the physicality of Spence. I think Spence is deceptive in terms of his power and his strength because he's so physically big. Pacquiao's fought bigger guys. Yeah, okay. But they'll probably, Pacquiao was just as guilty of selective matchmaking, not cherry picking. I call it selective matchmaking, is what Mayweather was. I don't, I think a lot of the fights, I think where Mayweather may have picked certain ones because of style or what have you, I think Pacquiao like to use the catch weights a lot. The Cotto fight is a big one where he just made people boil down. The De La Hoya fight. So I think Pacquiao deserves as much stick as what Mayweather gets. That's not going to happen against Spence. He's up against someone at the right weight who's at the prime. I don't even think this car crash is going to come into it because he's had the Garcia fight. I just think down the stretch and the championship rounds, Spence is just going to take over and be too much for Manny Pacquiao, who's had an absolutely amazing career and deserves all the credit he gets for taking a proper fight after a 2-year layoff. No warm-up fight, in up with a warrior. So Manny Pacquiao, I salute you.
Yeah. Ray, just a quick one before you go move on. If he wins, GOAT status achieved.
Good question. Good question. I mean, for me, he's a modern day great anyway.
Oh yeah.
For his achievements, so it's but if he wins, considering what he's done against Thurman, he has to surpass Mayweather.
I agree regarding Pacquiao's best chance is to come out and try and catch Spence cold in them first couple of rounds. Put it on him.
Yeah.
Almost go for broke, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I think Spencer's too smart for that, though, Carl.
So what do you think will happen, Andy?
I think Spence stops him.
Yeah.
And I think he stops him earlier than that. I think he stops him mid-rounds.
Really?
Yeah, I think him up, I mean, I'm not disputing how good Pacquiao's been. But this is way too late in his career, this fight.
Do you think it'll be one-sided then?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Interesting. And then we can't finish the show without talking about Carl Froch's Roy Jones Jr.'s little spat on Twitter.
That's been hilarious since they were best pals. I think it was about 2 months ago. When did Chris Eubank Jr. fight?
Yeah, it smells of a marketing campaign, don't it, Ray?
Yeah, it does.
No shit.
Yeah.
Weren't they working together at the Billy Joe and Canelo fight for DAZN?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were both commentating together, but a few words had been said previously on a few shows.
Carl Froch called him spent, didn't he? He said he spent.
Shot to bits.
Yeah.
I don't understand what
Carl Froch. He loves a soundbite.
The thing is, this fight makes absolutely no sense for Carl Froch. I don't get where he's coming from. He's been out of the ring how many years now?
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, is it?
Carl Froch probably even longer than that.
Yeah, longer, I'd say.
Yeah, I think he fought Gross, didn't he? Was it 2014 or something?
Right.
Yeah, 2013, yeah.
Right, so
yeah.
And he's not once shown any interest of a comeback or any interest in getting in with anyone else.
Apart from Calzaghe.
Yeah, but that was just talk. That was just. He knew full well Calzaghe would never ever take that fight.
And he would smash Joe Calzaghe again now, just for the record.
Calzaghe's been out of the ring way too long to be making any sort of comeback. Froch knows that. That was just him manning up to the situation. He's very bitter that he never got that shot against Calzaghe originally. When Calzaghe,
Andy, what would you do? What would you do if you jumped in with a YouTuber?
I'd disown Carl Froch as coming from.
He has mentioned that. Should the money be right, he's open to that.
If he does that, I'll say exactly the same thing on here as I've just said about
Mayweather.
It's disgraceful. It should never happen. YouTubers should never be allowed anywhere near a professional.
Well, that's our last chance to get him on the show.
So be it, mate. He should know better.
Edit that.
He should know. No, don't edit it. He should know better. I'd say if he was here, he should know better. What annoys me is you've got world level fighters like Tyson Fury saying it's good for the business, it's good for the sport. No, it's good for top end boxers like Tyson Fury, because it brings millions and millions and millions of pounds into to the likes of Triller, who can then put a massive fight on and pay the fighters stupid money. What it does is it destroys the lads trying to come through. Because as we've just seen, Josh Taylor didn't get put on Sky Sports box office. Josh Taylor didn't get his fight shown on anything, any decent channels. But he put that crap on.
Yeah.
Instead.
Yeah.
Because they knew they were going to get people buy it because he's got 30 million YouTube viewers or whatever he's got.
Are you telling me you wouldn't do it in his shoes, though?
He makes an absolute mockery of the sport. Now, if YouTubers want to go in against YouTubers and it's a white-collar fight and they want to stick it on YouTube and let all the viewers watch that, fine. Go ahead and do it. Beat the crap out of each other, boys. But don't think because you've got the money to pay for the best sparrers and because you think you've got the money to pay for the best coaches, that makes you a boxer. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I think what we're going to have to do, I think we're going to have to get Jake Maskell on again, who used to work at Sky, because he gave a very interesting angle on it, didn't he?
He's from a business point of view, didn't he?
Yeah, he's all for it. He's all for it.
He makes money, don't it? And the saying of it makes money, it makes sense, doesn't apply to this at all. It's an absolute joke, and one day somebody's going to get seriously hurt.
I agree with what.
It wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul gets seriously hurt. Because Tyrone Wood's not messing about.
No.
You seeing something there, Imran?
I said I agree with Andy, but I can also see it from a business point of view. Like, they didn't put Josh Taylor and Ramirez on Sky Sports pay-per-view. It was a great fight. I bought that fight. I watched it on Fight TV, but I watch all the fights. But the thing is, from a business point of view, from a Sky Sports point of view, Mayweather and Logan Paul did 1 million pay-per-view buys. That report just came out today.
How many of them were actually boxing fans? How many of them were?
I get that, but Sky Sports don't really care about whether.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Here's the problem, Imran, and this is what's going to destroy boxing. Because you said it earlier on, Sky Sports are the best broadcaster for boxing in the UK.
I think so.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they're putting that fight on, and they're going to carry on putting fights like that on because it makes them 1 million pay-per-views, and that's all they're bothered about. They're not bothered about boxing.
Yeah, I agree. It's about business now. Yeah, I agree. It's not about putting the best fights on for the sport. It's about what makes the most money.
You know, if you roll this forward about 5 years, the boxing stratosphere is going to look completely different. If this carries on being allowed to happen, it's going to roll on and roll on and roll on. And what you're going to end up happening is you're going to end up seeing people that have got however many million followers on YouTube are going to think, well, Jake Paul did it, Logan Paul did it. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get myself in shape. I'll give myself a year. Because I've got millions in the bank from YouTube, I'll go and get myself the best coach. I'll get myself the best sparring partners, and I'll get in the ring. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll headline a fight, and a proper, genuine world title fight from proper, genuine boxers that have been boxing since they were kids, been amateur, won amateur medals, won this, that, and the other. They'll be on the undercards because they're not going to make any money for the sport or make any money for the broadcasters. That's the way boxing will end up going if this carries on.
Yeah,
Andy,
that's what I've been seeing from day one.
Just a quick one to Andy. Like, you know, what do you make of it then? What do you make of like Tyson Fury calling out, for his brother Tommy Fury, calling out Jake Paul, saying that they should fight. So they're in that great, like Floyd Mayweather just fought Logan Paul. Tyson Fury wants his brother to fight Jake Paul. So what do you make of these guys trying to endorse it? They're the ones, the top fighters are the ones that
Tyson Fury endorses it because he can see the top end money going to the big companies, which is going to make him more money in fights. That's why Tyson Fury likes it. That's why these really big world champions are going, oh yeah, it's good for the sport. It brings new viewers in. Carl made a great point a few weeks back, and I think he said it a few times. How many of those YouTube viewers watch any other boxing? What do you think they'll go and watch the Cambosos fight? No, they They won't buy that pay-per-view
No.
because it hasn't got some pretty YouTuber fighting.
And they talk about it growing the business. Where's the evidence?
It doesn't grow the business, Cole, does it? It's just a load of bollocks. For Tyson Fury, it probably makes sense, and for the big fight, the guys that are already getting pay-per-view fights, it makes sense because all the broadcasters are now coming in, like Triller, that are making loads and loads of money off of the YouTube fights, and then they've got loads of money in the bank to entice these big unification fights. So it makes sense to the big end. It don't make sense to the small fighters. I understand where Tommy Fury is coming from. All right, Mike?
All right, mate.
I understand where Tommy Fury is coming from because Jake Paul has ripped into Tommy Fury and his family. And you don't do that to a man like Tommy Fury with his background. He comes from a fighting family.
TV down, fella. Getting some interference. TV on, Mike. No worries.
So Tommy Fury's not going to back down. If that fight happens, it happens. I won't watch it because it's got a YouTuber in it.
Yeah.
But Tommy Fury will do him some damage because Tommy Fury's a proper fighter.
Yeah. Let's bring Mike in then. We know Mike loves a YouTube fighter. So, what's your take on the fight that happened, Saturday night where you are, I guess?
So, Saturday night when we're going to watch the
Sunday
YouTubers.
night, sorry.
TikTokers.
So, what's your take on it, Mike?
Honestly, I think it's going to be a complete circus and a sideshow.
Do you think these fights are going to continue with YouTubers?
I think it is the beginning of something that we're going to see around for a little while. Until people get sick of watching rap concerts with fighting intermissions, or somebody gets seriously hurt.
And what was the cost of that pay-per-view with Floyd Mayweather in Canada?
Oh, $49.99.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah. $50 to watch that crap. Can you believe it?
Imran, what did you pay?
I paid the normal Sky $16.99.
Wow.
17 quid.
Yeah.
You must have some.
I get 45. So like,
I'll tell you what, Imran. Yeah, you will.
Arias and Herd.
Mike, there's a lot of interference coming through, mate.
Is there, bro? Okay, I'll try and reconnect.
No more business.
Yeah.
The Arias Herd fight on that undercard. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Imran, do you think you got value for money on that card?
The main event was terrible in the sense that there's a lot of hugging. There wasn't no action. So obviously I watched the fight. For the main
You didn't really expect any different, did you, mate?
I didn't know. Well, I expected Mayweather to knock him out.
That's what I thought would happen.
I didn't think it'd go 8 rounds, and I didn't expect it to be a hugging fest.
I didn't expect anything different from Mayweather because he don't knock anybody out, does he?
Well, he knocked out the last exhibition. He fought the Japanese kid.
Mayweather did.
He stopped McGregor.
All he needed to do, McGregor was blowing out of his butt, mate. Mayweather did all he needed to do in that fight. He didn't break sweat. He won. He did enough in each round to win the rounds. That's all he was interested in, mate.
Yeah, I'm quite torn on this because as a boxing fan, I hate it. Don't get me wrong, I hate it, and I hate everything it stands for. But from a business perspective, you can't fault Mayweather, can you? Jumping in there for 8 rounds, or against some bum, and picking up God knows how much.
He said it himself, didn't he? He saw a heist and he took it.
Yeah, he got 30 million just for wearing the shorts with the sponsors on.
It's a no-brainer. The guy's had the career he's had. He's now 45 years old. He doesn't need to make money, but that's what he's there for. So why wouldn't he take that fight? I get Mayweather's point, but He needs to have a bit more respect for the sport of boxing.
Well, a bit more respect for himself.
Whoever was embarrassed at the end. If you look at his face, the fact that he didn't stop Logan Paul, he was getting asked a lot of questions. He was embarrassed.
I don't believe that Logan Paul was too big.
I know he was too big, but he was expecting to stop Logan Paul, and the way he stepped on the gas in the last couple of rounds, when he was being asked those questions at the press conference, Mayweather was embarrassed.
He was uncomfortable. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. He should have respect for himself, and he should have stopped him. He could have. He
said though, didn't he, that Logan Paul surprised him, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Mayweather might have been embarrassed for that 20 minutes he did the interview. Do you think he was embarrassed when he's counting his money?
No.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's all it comes down to with Mayweather. He's not a boxer anymore. Just people need to stop calling him a boxer. He's not a boxer.
He's an entertainer. He said it himself. He's retired from boxing, but he isn't retired from entertaining.
Do you think he's gonna continue doing this then?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's talking about fighting his brother, isn't he?
I don't think so. I think the Showtime executive gave an interview and said, I think this might be it. I actually think Mayweather was. I think he was embarrassed.
Why do you think the Showtime exec is saying this is going to be it?
Because I think he saw Mayweather's body language, and he probably had discussions with him, and he probably realized that this is it's embarrassing. He's one of the greatest ever. He's one of the greatest ever, and he just went 8 rounds. I know you could say, well, he carried him and all of that. The fact of the matter is, even though Logan Paul was way bigger, like Andy said, these guys aren't boxers. Right? Don't matter how big you are. That means anyone off the street, 6'8", could come in and have a bit of training, and that means they can go 10 rounds with Mayweather. Like, I just, at the end of the day, for me, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for a guy that's as great as Mayweather, even though he's 44 and past it. He's fought a YouTuber that's main job is to create content, and he's just gone 8. Like, it was bizarre. Like, I'm shocked.
Well, here's a question. Would you go up and watch it again?
Yeah. I'd buy it again. I'm being honest with you. I'd buy it again.
Fuck. I thought you weren't leaving till tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I want to go home now. I need my phone.
Mike, I'll give you the last word then before we
I can send it to you right
we wrap
now.
up. Do you see Mayweather getting involved in more of these type of fights? These shows that he's starting?
Yo, Mayweather's in the business of making money, right?
Yeah.
Money Mayweather. As long as people are going to pay to see him, I'm pretty sure he's going to do what he does best and entertain. But hopefully it's not like that last fight, because honestly, I was pretty disappointed and bored watching that.
And it cost you $50.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is Mayweather postponed that fight and pushed the date back because he said he wasn't ready to get in the ring. Honestly, what the hell was he doing for the last 3 months? Because he didn't look like he was ready to get in the ring then. Come on, you can't tell me that was a great performance from the GOAT.
I'll be honest with you. I think it was one of them performances, a bit like Ricky Hatton when he come back, where he just not got it anymore.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's got in there. Where is he'd normally put his foot down 5, 6, 7, 8 and get that guy out of there? He just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Caught up with him.
World champion. Ricky Hatton was fighting a world champion. Shevchenko's a world champion. This guy's a YouTuber.
Yeah, but the difference is, and this is why I was talking about the size, because you know a boxer of that ilk would still knock out somebody who's about 200 pounds, which is what Logan Paul was in the ring that night. But against that Shevchenko, I mean, Hatton would have stopped him in his peak.
Definitely.
That's what Carl was trying to say. And Mayweather, as we know Mayweather, would have got Paul out not even in 20, 30 seconds.
I mean, how embarrassing was it when I remember thinking it was in the 3rd or 4th where Logan Paul opened up on Mayweather, and it was an awful technique. It was just awful
Yeah,
to watch.
Carl,
Yeah.
Carl, how do you score the fight?
Well, Logan Paul didn't win. Let's just put that out there straight
Because
away.
you hear what they're saying, right? You hear they're saying that he won 3 out of the 8.
Are you being serious there?
I'm being dead serious right now.
I didn't watch the fight, but I was
expecting
expecting Mayweather to win every single round.
You know what, Ray? I'll send you the link after. You can watch it. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Honestly, they say he won the 1st, the 8th, and I believe it was the 4th or 5th. And I don't know what fight they were watching.
Down my room, man.
I have no idea what fight they were watching, but the fight that I was watching, that didn't happen.
Why are we still talking about this as a fight?
Because we know you love it, Andy. We know you love it.
Andy, I love how you just come in out of the side and you just bring us back to reality, and you're like, this shit isn't boxing. Stop talking about it.
It's the way that's what we love about Andy. It's the way he does, isn't it?
Guys,
Well, we're a boxing channel, and it's quite possibly the biggest news in boxing at the minute.
You know what? At the end of the day,
Go on in, man.
Billy Joe came out and gave an interview on TalkSport today. Did you not see his comments?
No, what did he say?
Billy Joe basically said that he obviously answered the comment, the quit talk where people were saying that he quit. He said, I saw 3 of Canelo in there, and he's also considering retirement. He said he's 50-50. If his dad tells him that he's going to retire, he's gonna call it a day.
What did I say? What did I say to you, and what did I say to Carl?
You said he was going to retire.
Yeah, I did. I said it.
You did.
Hold your horses, Ray. Hold your horses. Last time I looked, 50-50 isn't a done deal.
Yeah, but it's better than But what did you say? I put him in with Golovkin.
Yeah, but before he started doing a lap of honor,
but if he's just had a devastating injury of Canelo, why put him in with a bigger and better puncher?
He's going to be out for a year anyway.
He could be out for even longer.
Yeah, depending on how
his face completely caved in.
Yeah, like it wasn't as bad as Dubois, because Dubois had somewhat of the same injury, but it was an orbital versus cheek, orbital, and three separate breaks, right? That's a pretty devastating injury. But he takes a year off. Who does he fight? Where does he go from there?
The thing is, I think what people are missing is he wasn't getting a lot of fights anyway. He wasn't he wasn't an active fighter. He didn't live the life. He didn't seem as though somebody he wasn't like a Tyson Fury who's got a hunger for boxing. He wasn't like that. So for me, all those things said, plus his injury, his attitude is a bit like, do I really want to put myself through another camp?
Well, what is he? He's 30-1 with, I think, 15 knockouts.
Yeah,
Ray, he likes a pound note, though, don't he, Ray? He likes a pound note, and
he does. But this is the conversation we were having when we were on Imran's show about what big money fighters out there for him, and there's apart from the Eubank one, what else is there?
Yeah, I just think that his own deal is too big a carrot.
You know what it is? I think a lot of the other fights that are out there at middle, he's not a super middleweight. He's not. But at middleweight, I think the fights are there, but they're dangerous fights. I think they're fights where he could get badly hurt again, like Charlo. That's a dangerous fight.
Who's that?
Charlo.
Yeah, Charlo.
That's a dangerous fight. Golovkin's a dangerous fight. And Andre's not a dangerous fight, but it's a fight where he could be outboxed and way. But again, that's a good fight. But if Eubank was to beat Andrade, which I don't think he will, but if he does manage to beat Andrade, which they are talking about that fight happening, you imagine Billy Joe and Eubank for that WBO title. He'd fill out a stadium.
No, it'd be a boring fight.
What?
It wouldn't be. Why would it be a boring fight?
Honestly, I wouldn't find any excitement in that fight at all.
There's that much needle between them two, Mike. It would be a spicy fight.
They've been going at each other for the best part of 10 years, Mike.
Yeah.
I like Eubank. I like Eubank a lot. I respect the way he gets in that ring, the way he controls his opponents. You know what? Billy Joe is not going to come back after this, man. It's not going to be.
You know what you ought to do, Mike? You ought to get Eubank to visit Quebec, put a Canadian boxing vest on him, and then you can say he's Canadian.
Oh, you think Andre?
Say again.
Do you think Eubank?
No, in a word. I don't rate. No, I don't.
Not in a Imran, not in a million years, mate.
Yeah, I think
Andrade's got far too much skill for somebody like Eubank.
Yeah,
He's still quite flat-footed. Yeah.
That style of Andrade is a style which he struggles against.
Did you guys hear Joshua Uysk?
Yeah. It's pretty much done, isn't it?
Yeah. It's in the finalization of the contract.
Yeah.
For Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
I love that fight. Great fight.
Yeah, I think Joshua beats him.
Too big.
He better, man. He's got to hold on to those belts so we can have it undisputed, man.
Yeah.
Those belts. Joshua has to hold those belts so we can have an undisputed.
Well, the way things are going, I mean, once Fury beats Wilder, I still think there'll be more spanners in the works.
Yeah. That undisputed fight will never happen.
Because I think what will happen this time is the IBF will say something like, "Oh, you know," and then for that fight to happen, they'll have to give up their belts, so they'll be fighting without the status of being undisputed.
Makes no sense, does it, Ray?
You know what,
No?
Eddie, 100%, you're right. We're not going to see an undisputed. We were almost there. You know what I mean? We were at the door. We were knocking on it. We were about to enter.
Do you know what, Mike? Do you know what? We were. I don't think we were.
I don't think it was close.
Yeah. You don't think it was close?
Eddie Hearn thinks they were close because Eddie Hearn didn't have all the facts. But if you look at Bob Arum and you look at Frank Warren, look, they never said the fight was close. Not once did they say the fight was close because they knew the arbitration was coming up. They knew that was going to happen. Bob Arum had already booked a stadium before the arbitration came out for the Wilder fight. They knew they knew the Joshua fight was never going to happen.
And they kept telling Hearn not to worry about that arbitration.
He did,
and
good proper.
Why do you think
Arum's a lawyer by trade, so the plot.
So is Frank Warren.
Yeah.
But it was
and that's why we heard nothing from Wilder. That's why he just kept his mouth shut. He didn't say a word.
He knew
everybody was chirping. This, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to have my day in court, and we will, and I'm going to win," and he did. But what do you think about him switching up his team? Like, who's
listen, Mike, it makes no difference. I've said it before.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
You could bring Emmanuel Stewart back from the dead, Custamato, Riosel, George Denton, all the greats, and they could all be in the same corner. It ain't going to make no difference. The guy
all he's got is that right hand.
Sorry?
All Wilder has is that right hand.
Yeah.
Right?
If you want to box Fury will box him. If he wants to fight Fury will fight him.
Yeah.
You know? It all ends up.
Yeah. I think Wilder Fury 3. We're gonna see what Wilder. We're going to see what Wilder thinks he can do, and we're going to see what Fury can do. I think we're going to see more out of Fury this time than we've seen out of his last two.
Yeah, I mean, Andy said that he thinks he gets rid of Wilder quicker fashion. I think he'd be a little bit cautious, but I still think he beats him. I don't see how Wilder can beat Fury unless Fury goes in with his hands all the way down here. And
with his eyes closed.
There. Yeah,
with his eyes closed and with his hands at his side.
Yeah, basically, just basically saying hit me.
Honestly, you know? I think it's too late in the game for Wilder to be switching up his style and and his team, thinking that it's going to like revive him and bring him back. Listen, you're a very one-dimensional fighter. That's what he is. He presses forward and throws that big right.
Yeah,
that's his entire MO.
Go on, Mike. Show him that big right again.
Go.
Yeah. just like Wilder that.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me go get my bronze bomber mask.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Guys,
And my cape and my crown and my
I don't think the Joshua Usyk fight's as straightforward as you're all saying.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I think it's pretty much clear cut, Andy.
Hey,
I think it's clear much. Joshua turns up to the ring fully fit. Joshua wins the fight.
Yeah,
I think Usyk gives him some small. I think Usyk gives Joshua some problems.
definitely.
Joshua overcomes him.
Yes, in the late rounds.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think he gives him problems, but I think Joshua. One thing we've not been giving Joshua enough credit for is he's quite resilient in that ring. You know, he finds a way.
Ray, let me point out then. I think Usyk beats him. I think Usyk's going to fight against.
You think Usyk's going to win? Why is that?
I just think Usyk's feet movement, his movement,
footwork, and his
movement. I think he's going to give Joshua all kinds of trouble. And the
Imran, where are you getting this confidence from? Because it's not from his heavyweight performances, because they've been shown.
It doesn't have to be. But here's the thing. I see Ray talk about Josh Taylor. He won close and he gets all the credit. But you all thought he beat Chisora. You all thought he beat Chisora. We all
sorry, I didn't hear that. Did you say Josh Taylor?
You said Josh Taylor for all those guys like Prograis, Postal. They were close fights. Weren't they?
I had the Josh Taylor against Ramirez fight. I had that quite wide.
No, but Postal and Prograis, they were close, right?
Yeah, the Prograis fight was close, but I still had Josh Taylor winning that comfortably.
What's that got to do with Usyk then?
So why is Usyk getting a lot of stick for when he just cleaned out a division a lot easier than Josh Taylor did at cruiserweight?
I'll explain it for you. Okay. I'll explain it for you.
Yeah, go on.
Usyk had those fights at cruiserweight.
Okay.
Yeah, under 200 pound. We're talking about heavyweights over 200 pound.
And who has Joshua beaten that beats Usyk?
Okay. Well, quite a lot of his opponents, you know, that could beat Usyk.
Who like?
So yeah, Dillian White's one. I think at that time, Klitschko could have beaten Usyk.
That version of Dillian White.
I think Klitschko could have beaten Usyk.
Hey?
I think Klitschko could have beaten Usyk. Klitschko that
all kinds of trouble with.
I think could have beaten Usyk.
Klitschko at full potential could have beat Usyk, no problem.
Oh yeah, but that was in his prime. But I'm saying the same Klitschko that Usyk was giving all hell to, and Klitschko had to send his whole team out, send all the cameras out of the gym. That same Klitschko.
Yeah, but in sparring, you know, how many times have we seen or have we heard stories where David Hay was absolutely putting it on Tony Bellew, and then what happened in that fight? Tony Bellew absolutely annihilated David Hay.
Well,
that's because everybody has a plan.
Let me just throw another scenario out there, Imran. So if Usyk starts like he did against Del Boy and is in with AJ, I'm telling you that fight don't go 5 rounds.
Agree.
Call it, Carl. What round?
Because the thing is, what you got to remember, like Imran and Carl he's not looked impressive against Chaz Witherspoon. You know, he's not looked impressive against Chisora. No. And even the Tony Bellew fight, he was losing that fight until he came into it until the last couple of rounds, until he stopped him in the 7th.
So Imran, let's just do a prediction. So Imran, I want this on Imran. I want this.
Say that again.
I want this on camera, fella.
He said Bivol looked great against Richards, though. How does that work? But yeah, Usyk didn't look good against Chisora and Witherspoon, who he really won easily. Really, the round he won that fight comfortably.
Yeah. Well, Bivol, in my eyes, won that more comfortably than what
Chisora.
Didn't Usyk beat Chisora? Yeah.
But Chisora's a better fighter than what what Richards is, more proven. He's fought better. He's fought better guys.
But he's a gatekeeper.
He's a gatekeeper. But
So he should have won even more comfortably, then, shouldn't he?
Parker
If you're saying he should be beating the likes of, if he's going to comfortably beat Anthony Joshua, I struggle with that because he hasn't looked impressive at heavyweight.
No. Where
Bivens looked impressive as a light heavyweight. And that's the point I was making about the Josh Taylor comparison. Josh Taylor is looked quite impressive at 140. So whereas Usyk, don't get me wrong, he looked great as a cruiserweight, but he's a great. I've said it on your show. He's a great cruiserweight, but he's a poor heavyweight.
You know what? Usyk is going to be on the smaller side of any heavyweight he gets in there with.
That's the other problem,
right? You know? He's 6'3", about 225, 230. He's got a 78-inch reach. Yeah, he's going to step in with Joshua. Joshua's 6'6", like 255 and around there with an 82-inch reach. Mm-hmm. The thing with Usyk is he's always going to be on the inside. He's always going to have to play that game on the smaller guy, which means he's not going to be able to bully these guys. He's not going to be able to push the pace. He's not going to be able to do what he did in the weight class that he just left.
Yeah,
it'll make for an interesting fight. Yes, and you know what? Usyk is no stranger to heavyweight. He has competed at that before at different levels, and you know what? He believes he can do it. And at the end of the day, man, everybody's got a game plan.
Yeah, that's a fair analysis, Mike. Because I think you've hit the nail on the head when you said the things he could do at cruiserweight, he can't get away with at heavyweight.
No,
these guys are just too big, too strong.
No, they're too big, man. Like your average heavyweight right now is what, like 6'5", 6'6"?
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is, guys. We're acting like Anthony Joshua's indestructible. Like, this is a guy that's gassed.
No, we're not saying that because
many times, but Usyk, but yet, what's
style makes fights, Imran. Styles make fights.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Usyk's got a horrible style for him. A guy that moves, got very good feet, very fast, got great boxing IQ. Like, he can overcome that size. He's a very his skills are far superior than Joshua. Far superior.
He has got more skills to him. He has got more skills than Joshua, and I do think he causes Joshua problems, but I do think Joshua's size is going to cause him a lot of problems.
I do believe that Joshua
this is going to be the best heavyweight he's ever fought.
Yeah, by far.
Of course, yeah.
By far.
And it's going to be the hardest hitting heavyweight he's ever fought.
And it's going to be the best boxer Joshua's been in the ring with, without question.
What about Fury?
He's not fought Fury though.
AJ, I'm talking about.
Yeah, AJ's not.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Hey man, it's all these predictions. I'm losing the plot with you.
That's what he said.
I kind of see what Imran's trying to say. I don't agree with his analogies, but I will say this: Joshua is really poor against small guys.
Yeah,
doesn't have to deal with them.
Yeah,
doesn't have to get his shots off when he's not throwing them up or straight.
Yeah,
he's throwing shots down. He's not very good.
Yeah.
I predict Joshua loses the first half of the fight.
So you're saying it's going to go deep into the late rounds, eh?
If Joshua's got it left in the tank, because he's going to spend the first half of the fight chasing Usyk around the ring. Here's my questions against Joshua. I get exactly what Ray's saying. I get exactly what Carl's saying. Joshua should be too big. He should be too strong. He should deal with Usyk. Right. But my questions are this: Joshua can't fight against small guys.
No.
Look at the trouble that Takam gave him. Takam's not world level.
No.
Takam's a small fighter. Look at the trouble he gave him. And there's numerous times when we can say the same thing. Joshua doesn't use his reach as well as you think he does.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And he's got an 82-inch reach.
He doesn't work at distance. The only time he's done it is the second fight against Ruiz.
Parker.
And Parker. They're the only two times when he's actually worked off his jab. If he gets drawn into Usyk's fight, which is more than likely for the first half of the fight, he will do. He might just get too frustrated and blow himself out and not have anything left for the second half of the fight. Usyk's, I agree with you. Usyk's not looked great, but do you seriously think he's going to come into the fight of his life? This is his defining fight. Remember, not being on his money. He had those two fights. He had those two fights early on, and he probably thought, "I'll get through these two fights." The two heavyweight, I'll get through these two fights. And probably didn't put it in the way he needed to put it in. You're right, Ray. He can't bully people. He can't do what he did. His style that he had at cruiserweight, where he put it on people later on, he can't do that to Joshua because Joshua's power will stop him. You don't need to do that to Joshua, though. He just needs to get in, lay shots off, get out, and win rounds. My concern is I don't think Joshua is going to deal with him.
I don't know if Joshua has the right tools to keep Usyk out of his inside. I think once Usyk gets on that inside, it's going to be a whole different fight.
You don't think he has the tools? One thing I would say is Joshua's got a hell of an uppercut, and that's a great punch against a smaller fighter.
He does.
You saw it against Klitschko. You saw it against Dillian White. That for me is a great tool.
Yeah, but Klitschko's not a small fighter, is it?
No, but he came in crouched, didn't he? Which is how he got caught.
It's got to land.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, you can't hit what you can't see. But what Mike's saying there is about having the tools to deal with him when he comes in the inside. If he comes in the inside, it's a bit like going into the shower. You're going to get wet. Yeah. If he comes in, he ain't going to evade a heavyweight. Someone that hits as hard as Joshua. And man, Ray, I'm telling you now, he's going to get hit.
Ray, just to jump in there, we don't even know the punch resistance of Usyk at this level either.
No, we don't.
Really been tagged.
That's what I'm alluding to. He's going to go in the shower. He's going to get wet.
We better hope that he can take a shot, because one thing Joshua will do is land on him eventually.
I'm not saying that Joshua's not going to win the fight. What I'm saying is to overlook Usyk, who's a serial winner, won everything, literally cruised past everyone, and to say that Joshua, who's looked very vulnerable at heavyweight, let's be honest, he's not. He's beat a lot of guys. Yeah, he's got a great resume, but he's looked shaky. Wobbled against Dillian White, put down, lost against, humiliated in the first fight against Ruiz, right? The Parker fight, the Parker fight was a good win, but again, the referee there stunk the place out, right? He's not looked for $1 million against everybody. This is a guy that's looked vulnerable in a lot of his fights. So to say that someone as good as Usyk is a serial winner, he wins.
Hold on.
We don't know how good he is at heavyweight, because he's stanked the show out on all occasions.
But I just said it there. We don't know how good he is. We don't know how good he is.
Well, I think I do. I think I do. But I think he needs to get back down to cruise, because he's gonna get knocked out.
How good Joshua is, though, and we know what his are. We don't.
You know what? He's Usyk is challenging himself, right? That's what he's doing. He's done what he's set out to do in the cruiser, and he's been a heavyweight before in the amateurs. He believes that he can step in there.
Different grade, Mike, isn't it? Different grade, isn't it? Amateurs to the pros. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he's been up there in those weights, and he's had opponents that are that size. He knows what to do. It's whether or not he can take that power of those strikes, because the heavyweights are hitting way harder than these cruisers. Way harder. And you know what? Him being a smaller guy and not being able to bully and having to play on the inside, when you take those shots on that inside from somebody like Joshua, shit's going to hurt. And it's going to be a test of his chin.
He looked void of ideas against Del Boy, didn't he? He looked void of ideas.
How did you score that fight?
I think I can't. It was that boring a fight. I'm
gonna look on my scorecard now, because I keep them all in an app and see.
How did you score it, man?
I think 8-4, 9-3. to Usyk.
Which fight was it?
Usyk Chisora, really? You had it 9-3?
8-4, 9-3.
Are you a bit of a Usyk fanboy, man?
Not really. I just, like I said, skills pay the bills, and he's unbelievable. He's I've seen his amateur career, I've seen his pro career, and he's flew through. You can't say that he doesn't have no chance against Joshua. Like, he's a serial winner. He's got a winner's mentality. He wins.
Yeah, my only stipulation is him, man. At cruiserweight is right up there. Don't get me wrong, but I think the heavyweight division, especially the elite level, is a step too far.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I mean,
possibly. Yeah.
I mean, I've just looked on mine there, and I've had mine like sort of like one. By 2 rounds. By Usyk.
No, sorry. 7, was it?
You gave Del Boy a few more rounds there, then, mate.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing Usyk's achievements at all. But I just think stepping up to heavyweight is just completely different. And there's been very few cruiserweights. If you look back in history, who have done well at cruiserweight and then done well at heavyweight.
Only the very, very best, mate.
Yeah. You're looking at Holyfield.
Yeah.
And since Holyfield, how many can you name since then?
Hay won a version.
But against Valuev, that was you know. You could have won that fight, Imran.
He fought Frankenstein, didn't he?
Yeah.
Valuev. I mean, Valuev. You know, I've seen Milk turn quicker than him. You would hit him, and then you would be at the round the other way, and he was still turning. In fact, he's still turning in the ring now.
Found out against Klitschko, though, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And why did he get found out against Klitschko? Because Klitschko was too big. Klitschko took the center of the ring, put a jab, and he was nowhere to be seen.
But the thing is, Ray, Klitschko's better though. Usyk for me is more skillful than Hay. He may not have the explosive power, but Joshua's not Klitschko in his prime. Klitschko was far better, and he was far better at using his range and reach. He was far better.
True, man. True, and you know me, I like my skillful boxers. Everybody knows that. But there's an old adage in boxing, and sometimes boxing's very, very true. There's all this strength and conditioning and all this talk about the new school, but the old school always wins. There's an old adage saying a good biggin always beats a good little un. And I think that's what we're going to see in the heavyweights.
Ray, tell me one more time. What was that? A good what?
A good biggin beats a good little un.
I'll tell you what, Mark. That might be a good one for your channel. Ray's Pearls of Wisdom. What about that?
Ray's Pearls of Wisdom coming to you live.
I feel like Andy's smelling an upset just the way he was talking. I think he fancies Usyk.
Yeah, Andy's got some.
You're pinching his straws now, mate, aren't you?
Oh, but I just want to know Andy's opinion. What does he think?
Come on, Andy.
Yep.
I think it's possible.
Me too.
There you go.
I'm not going to say for certain that Usyk wins the fight because
I don't have splinters. Come on.
You're asking my opinion. I'm giving it you. I think Usyk causes Joshua enough problems that he can win the fight.
3 inches taller and outweighs him by like 35, 40 pounds.
But does he win then? Come on.
If I was to put my weight on it, I would say Joshua's probably going to win on point. But,
so you think it's going the distance?
Yeah, but I think that Usyk can cause so many problems for Joshua. This all comes down to whether Joshua is capable of getting to Usyk at some point in the fight,
or if he remembers how to use his jab.
No, wait a minute, enough that he lands enough shots to stop him. Because I'm not a believer that Joshua's got this unbelievable power that he stops everybody with one punch. You can't do it.
No, not one punch, but in clusters he can.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. So if Usyk can take a Joshua shot and get out of the way and be away, then he causes Joshua problems all night long.
So what you're saying is you think Usyk might win between round 1 and 12, or AJ's going to win between 1 and 12? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it's not as clean cut as you lads say it is. That's what I'm saying. It's
Mark,
not as clean cut as you're saying. Yeah, you're basically. Let's just say the way it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You and Ray think Usyk has no chance.
Correct.
I think that Joshua's way too big, way too strong, and eventually he gets in there and he stops him. Yeah.
Correct.
I'm not as clean cut as that. That's what I'm saying. Usyk has a chance of winning the fight because Joshua is not good against small fighters. Small fighters movement. That's what
he's not, but I still think Joshua's got enough to beat Usyk.
As long as he remembers how to use that jab.
Yeah, jab and beat the uppercut.
Who do you think is going to win, Michael?
I'm taking Joshua.
Look, you know the score on this channel. Give us a round.
7th.
Well, Imran, coming to you. With the Ukrainian flag in the background.
I think, you know what? I think Usyk takes it on points, but I don't think he's going to get it. I think Joshua's going to probably win. I don't think he'll get the points. I don't think he's not going to win on points, is he, against Joshua?
Yeah, true. Yeah, in the UK,
it's gonna end with one of Joshua's fancy uppercuts.
That's what I think. So you're going either Usyk points or what? Joshua stoppage.
Yeah. Joshua's stopping him.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want in, man? Any other predictions? Because you gave us 2 there.
Which ones did I give?
You said Usyk on what?
So I'm edging towards Usyk on points. Yeah.
Is that your prediction then?
Yeah. Usyk points.
Okay. What about you, Ramondo? You going to go for a round here?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to go for round 8 for Joshua.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it goes that long. So I'll stick to my round 5, Joshua. He'll have a look at him, realise his note doing, cut the ring off, and knock him out.
Good job. There's no money on that car. I don't think your missus will be too happy.
Did you say Joshua's going to cut the ring off?
Yeah, I just think Usyk's not big enough. As much as you're saying Usyk won't come into the ring not having a game plan, I don't think Joshua will come in either without a game plan.
Joshua don't know how to cut the ring off.
You heard it here first. Round 5. One side of the fair.
All right.
So everybody's going with Joshua except Andy?
No. Imran's going for Usyk.
Okay.
Yeah, and normally this is where we'll give a section to Canadian boxing, but yeah.
Lads, we've been on for.
Carl, we profiled this great Canadian boxer today. His name is Lennox Lewis.
Say again.
I said we profiled this great Canadian boxer. You might know him, Lennox Lewis.
Yeah. Well, last time I looked, Imran, what's your take on this? Lennox Lewis, Canadian or British?
Lennox Lewis, the greatest British fighter of all time.
Really?
Thank you, Imran.
His gold medal says Canada.
He might say Canada.
His date of birth, his birth certificate says Britain, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And when he won that undisputed title, what flag was flying above his head?
The right one.
Exactly.
Listen. You're gonna hear it You're only ever gonna hear it here. He's British.
Oh, I've got that on record. Beautiful.
And I agree with you. Okay? I agree with you guys. He's British. Yes. He took a little vacation in Canada and decided to bring us a gold medal though, which was great.
All right, because no one's done that since, have they?
There hasn't even been an undisputed heavyweight champion since him.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
True.
2003, man, was the last time, and we haven't even seen an undisputed champion in the 4-belt era.
I know.
That's why that Joshua and Fury thing should have happened.
Unfortunately, Mark, I don't think we're ever going to see one.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because by the time this all comes back around, those belts are all going to be split up. They're all going to be split.
Right, guys, just on the 2-hour 20 mark. So, Ray, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. So, look, lads, thank you very much. It's been a terrific show. Mike, thanks as always for coming on.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you guys after you get off the air there.
Yeah. No worries. And Imran, thanks very much for coming on. Pleasure to have you on.
No worries, it was great.
And obviously, for those that don't know, you can catch Imran. Imran, you want to give us give yourself a little plug for your channel there, just quickly.
Yeah, my channel Imran Mayor TV. You can catch me. I do live streams every day, and all the latest.
Your Facebook group as well.
Oh yeah, my Facebook group, Boxing Fans. Catch me on Instagram, Imran Mayor Boxing TV, and yeah, Twitter Imran Mayor TV as well.
Nice one. Well, those in the comments, thank you very much for commenting. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll have more guests coming on the show. We've got more guests lined up in the future. We'll be also doing a review of the Ritson fight as well this weekend, and then we'll be on again as ever every Thursday here at 9 o'clock. So from me, Imran, Carl, and Andy, thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.